Most men think manipulation is obvious. They imagine there's this villain, someone clearly dishonest, someone clearly controlling. But the truth is, most manipulation does not look aggressive. It looks emotional. It looks wounded. It looks confused. It looks like someone who just needs understanding. And because of that, a lot of good men tolerate manipulation for years. Not because they're weak, because they're trying to be good. But here's the hard truth. If you don't understand why you tolerate manipulation, you will keep inviting manipulators into your life. Now, you won't do it intentionally, but predictably. Most men who tolerate manipulation are not naive. They're usually responsible, compassionate, loyal, and patient guys. Those are all good traits. But those same traits can become entry points for manipulation if they aren't anchored in clarity. And many men confuse patience with permission, compassion with compliance, grace with lack of boundaries. A steady man has compassion, but he also has clarity. Manipulation almost always follows a pattern. Not every manipulative person is conscious of what they're doing, but the pattern repeats. And here's how it usually works. It starts with emotional pressure. Something happens and suddenly you're responsible for how the other person feels. You're told, "You hurt me. You don't care. You're abandoning me. You're not the man I thought you were." Then it leads to moral confusion. Now the issue isn't the original situation anymore. The issue becomes your character. Now you're defending yourself. You're explaining yourself, trying to prove you're not the bad guy. And then it leads to submission through exhaustion. Eventually you give in, not because it's right, because you're tired. You think this isn't worth the conflict, so you surrender the decision. And that moment teaches the manipulator something, that the pressure works. There are several reasons men tolerate manipulation, but 3 show up over and over. The fear of conflict. Many men grew up in homes where conflict meant chaos, anger, explosion, withdrawal. So they learned keep the peace, even if it costs you. But avoiding conflict, it doesn't create peace. It creates hidden resentment. Then there's fear of abandonment. A manipulative person often threatens connection, directly or indirectly. "You don't care about me. I guess I'm just going to leave. You're pushing me away." If a man is afraid of losing the relationship, he all of a sudden becomes negotiable. Then, of course, there's the desire to be the good guy. And this one traps a lot of men. I see it all the time. They want to be seen as kind, patient, understanding, and Christ-like. Those are all good desires. But manipulation often uses moral language, and suddenly boundaries look like cruelty. Clarity looks like rejection, and leadership looks like control. So the man retreats. He doesn't do it because he's wrong. He doesn't want to be misunderstood. A steady man eventually learns something important, that you cannot stop someone from attempting manipulation. There's always going to be someone trying it, but you can stop participating in it. And manipulation, it requires cooperation, not agreement, cooperation. It requires you to engage emotionally on the manipulator's terms. And once you stop doing that, the entire dynamic changes. A steady man doesn't fight manipulation with aggression. He fights it with clarity. 3 things change. He stops defending himself emotionally. Manipulators want emotional reaction. They want explanation, appeasement, panic. A steady man stays calm. He simply states reality. Now, I understand you feel that way, but this is still my decision. No argument, no panic, just clarity. He refuses false responsibility. A manipulative dynamic always transfers responsibility. Suddenly, you're responsible for someone else's emotions, someone else's choices, someone else's reactions. But adults are responsible for their own emotional responses. A steady man remembers that. He holds boundaries without hostility. This is the hardest part for many men. Boundaries do not require anger, they require consistency. You say what you'll do, and then you do it, even if someone is upset, even if someone accuses you of being cruel, even if someone withdraws. Steadiness is tested by pressure. When a man stops cooperating with manipulation, one of two things will happen. The manipulator adjusts or the relationship deteriorates. Both outcomes reveal truth. Healthy people adapt, manipulative people escalate. But either way, the illusion ends. And that clarity, it's necessary for a steady life because a man cannot build a peaceful life while constantly negotiating with emotional coercion. If you've tolerated manipulation in the past, you're not alone. Many men learn this lesson the hard way. They learn it through broken relationships, through exhaustion, through realizing that trying to save everyone else eventually destroys your own stability. But here's the good news. Once you see the pattern, you can stop participating in it. And that's when a man begins to become steady, not controlling, not harsh, just clear. And clarity changes everything. If this episode helped you see something in your own life, subscribe because the Steady Man series is about building the kind of clarity and character most men were never taught. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about something just as important: why many men confuse kindness with weakness.